Me? Good morning, everyone. Could I have everyone come on in and have a seat so we can get the meeting started? Y'all think they're listening to me outside? Wrangle them on in, Neil. Wrangle them on in. All right, I'm going to get started as more of you come into the room. As you know, I'm S. Lisa Herndon, CAAR's president, and I welcome you to our November general membership meeting and annual business meeting. Before we move into today's agenda, please stand and join me in recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much for that. Everyone, please be seated. Now we'll move on to the approval of the minutes for the CAAR Annual Development and Economic Summit. The minutes were included in your handouts, and please let me know if there are any additions or corrections to the distributed minutes. If so, please raise your hand or submit your feedback if you're on Zoom in the chat. Hey, Reeves, are you waving at me or you got a correction? Okay. I love participation for the audience, so thank you so much. If not, then the minutes will stand approved as distributed. Thank you all. And of course, for your safety, we're going to point out the exits that are in case there's an emergency, and hopefully there's not. But look at the closest exits next to you. There are some here, there. And as you go out, I'm not reading Alice's script directly, but as you walk out the door on the terrace, you can follow the path all the way around to the front parking lot. And as you came in through the lobby area, that's another way to exit through. Next, I would like to acknowledge CAAR's antitrust statement, which I'm sure everyone is familiar with. This statement ensures we are encouraging discussions that promote all realtors and does not restrict competition among members or potential members. We work to foster a forum for an open discussion of diverse opinions without attempting in any way to discourage or sanction any business practice. The CAAR antitrust statement will be acknowledged before any and all CAAR meetings, and Zoom participants, you also have a copy of it, and you all should have a copy of it attached to your handout as well. And we are extremely grateful to our sponsors for stepping up and helping us provide this wonderful program. This session is brought to you with the courtesy of the supporting sponsors, Farm Credit of Virginia and Fulton Mortgage Company. We truly appreciate the professionalism, service, and support of our affiliates to CAAR. We truly appreciate you helping us out and helping to sponsor great programs for our members. If you haven't already visited their tables out there, please do so at some point during the meeting or following the meeting. At this point, I would like to welcome and invite Tom Woolfolk, the Candidate Review Committee Chair, to remind us of the important information and actions of CAAR 2024 Board of Officers and Directors. Tom, come on up here. You got a lot of information to give us.
Thank you, S. Lisa. Good morning, everybody. The voting for the CAAR 2024 Board of directors and officers started yesterday at 9:30 a.m. It will close this morning at 9:30 a.m. So there's a little bit of time. As a reminder, primary and secondary realtors can vote. You should have gotten an email yesterday with a link to that. There's also a link on the single sign-on dashboard, a little banner at the top. If you can't find your email, we have other ways. There's also this QR code on the screen. And I'm just going to state right now, we've got a very good system right now. We can see the votes as they're coming in. And I will tell you that the contested positions are very, very close. So if you have not voted, make sure you do, because we are definitely going to cut it off at 9:30. Okay. Per the ballot, the following members have already been elected. Ann Burrows will be president next year. Ann, good to see you this morning. I'm not going to use the title that was used for me, but Lisa will be our immediate past president. Well, I was the immediate has-been. Okay. All right, so you see their names and faces on the screen. Okay, these are the candidates running for position on the 2024 Board of Officers and Directors. We have Josh White for president-elect. Treasurer candidates, this is a contested position. We have Kim Armstrong and Amanda Spigone. Now, moving on to three-year directors, those running, again, are Kim Armstrong, Nikki Chambliss, Tony Gerard, Matthew Holt, Janice O'Hara, Amanda Spigone, Katrina Tyree, and Kevin Wilberger. Also running for one-year director, we have Nikki Chambliss, Matthew Holt, Janice O'Hara, and Katrina Tyree. If you'd like to receive a copy of your completed ballot, upon request, please email communications@caar.com. I would like to thank the members of our candidate review committee for verifying our candidates. They're in the room next door doing just that now. We wanted to make sure that all those who ran or were nominated to run met the requirements under the CAAR bylaws. Those are Pam Dent, Peg Gilliland, Hal Johnson, Tom Pace, and Yana Smith. So if you haven't already done so, please visit the board candidate icon in the CAAR portal links section for the single sign-on dashboard to learn about each candidate and why they are running. At this time, I would like to acknowledge the following board members who are fulfilling their remaining terms. We have Keith Davis, Woody Fincham, Sharon Merrick, Kyle Olson, Jessica Russo, and Candace Vanderlyn. And we appreciate the time and service these members are providing to CAAR. I would also like to recognize our outgoing board members. Pam Dent is immediate past president. Josh White is treasurer. Amanda Spigone is a director. Reeves Bailey, Georgia Lindsay, and Aaron Searcy. Thank you so much for the time and energy that you have committed to our association over the years. You've truly made an impact, and I hope to see this continue in the years ahead. Again, voting ends today at 9:30 a.m. If you're having trouble voting, let one of us know and we'll help you out with that process. The results will be sent to the membership by email at 5 p.m. today. Again, thank you. And Lisa, I'm glad my eyesight is good enough that I can still read this large print.
I'm putting my glasses on. Again, thank you, Tom. And I am very pleased to see all the diverse members that are running for office. This is a true election. Yes. Next, I would like to go over a few association announcements and reminders. Earlier this month, the Blue Ridge Area Food Bank held a Shop to Stop Hunger event. And 5 local celebrities supported the event in 3 ways. They fundraised online, they encouraged food donations in their barrel at the Ryle Hill Kroger, and shopped quickly trying to rank up the highest bill in 1 minute. So they had to throw everything in. And as a result of their efforts for the local celebrities and their organization, they were able to raise enough for 7,400 meals. That's amazing. That's amazing. And I would like, I don't see her in here, but I would like to say a special thanks to Ann Oliver, our MLS Rules and Regs Chair, for being CAAR's representative in this fundraising activity. So although she's not here, can we give her a hand? She may be on Zoom. Okay, next, the communications group is working hard to deliver a new and improved award management platform called Reviewer. In addition to streamlining the process, the platform will allow a better experience for members, judges, and staff. It will have both the option for you to complete the application as well as to nominate a member for the award. So, and the platform will be up and running within the next couple of weeks. So look for updates on that. All righty. Influence through collaboration among Realtor affiliates, local government, and community is one of the many ways that CAAR is a gateway for you for more. So what does that mean? You can increase your sphere of influence by signing up to volunteer for 2024. How many people are in here going to volunteer? Hands, yay! So the standing groups, project teams, or committees do so by November the 17th. Okay, do so by November the 17th. As the standing groups is an annual commitment. That's at least 12 meetings per year. And then project teams and other committees are short-term commitments where they meet from 1 to 5 meetings per year as needed. So please go and volunteer through the sign-on dashboard. And you can scan the QR code as well. And yep. And of course, we have the volunteer icon on the CAAR portal as well. All righty, in accordance with the CAAR bylaws, we wanted you to be aware of the complete document review and updates. Lots of time and dedication put into this work. The document review project team, operations group, and board of directors have recommended multiple updates in order to bring our bylaws current with changing times and additionally in compliance with National Association of Realtors policy mandates. And that was a big, heavy lift. You'll see more information coming about that as well. So a sample of the updates can be seen on the screen. So know that this was significant amount of time and due diligence. And there are some of the ladies who were instrumental in helping us at this far table over here. Give them a round of applause, please. Thank you so much. They're being shy over in the corner. I see you smiling, Pat. The proposed bylaws votes will open at 9:30 a.m. on Wednesday, December the 6th, and close at 9:30 on Thursday, December the 7th. So please take the time to review it. And that is also going to be the time where we will install the new CAAR 2024 President Ann Burroughs. She's so happy. I'm happy to pass the torch and other officers and directors as well. So just like you received the initial notification, you have access to the original bylaws, the proposed bylaws with tracking the change. It shows you the changes that we've crossed through, then the suggestions, and the final proposal bylaws versions will require your approval. So please vote on those. And who can vote? The primary and secondary realtors can vote via online ballot for the proposed bylaws changes. So please take the time to review them and make sure you understand them and let us know if you have any questions. So at this time, we will move into our main program for today, Roadmap to Custom Home Building. We are fortunate to be joined by three leading experts who will provide you with tips to successfully add value, build relationships, manage expectations, and ensure clear communications when dealing with land to lot transactions. At this time, I would like to welcome to the stage Moderator Denise Ramey, past president of Virginia Realtors and CAAR, Christopher Brement, president of Brement Homes, and John Kerber, president and CEO of Dominion Custom Homes. So, as we know, during the panel discussion, the audience may ask questions. So go to the microphone if you have a question. And of course, if you're on Zoom, use the chat window if you have any questions. And otherwise, we will read we can read those questions out loud. And if you want additional information, you should have more about the panelists in the handouts. So Denise, come on up here and take it away.
Before I ask Chris and John, oh, come on up. Welcome. It wouldn't be a meeting that I talked to realtors about if I didn't talk about RPAC. So I had permission from Allie to modify the script just a little bit. And I want to first say thanks to Anita and Hal for being your RPAC chairs for 2023. And I will tell you that at the state, we are short on our overall dollar raised to our goal, and we're also short on participants. The good news is you guys are ahead on dollars raised, congratulations, and ahead on major investors. But you too, we too are short on our participation goal. And CAAR has always led the way at 45–50% of members participating in RPAC. And for those of you who may be new to this, participation with RPAC at CAAR is $40. So we just went through dues billing. Some people may have not understood the value of RPAC and why they should check yes to invest that $40 in RPAC. What I would ask of you today is if you have not made your RPAC investment, do so today. Stop at the desk on your way out and invest the $40 that we ask as a minimum for every member. If you have questions about why you should invest, I'm not going to go into all of that because I could talk for hours about that, but ask one of us. But please, I implore you, we need every member's participation in RPAC. And as a state, we are probably $300,000 behind right now. We've got a month to make these objectives. So if you've already invested, thank you. If there are people in your firm who have not, tap them on the shoulder and ask them to do so and explain to them why. Anita, anything else? Great. And thank you to those who have invested. If you've already made your RPAC investment, would you raise your hand? Great. And if someone's sitting next to you that hasn't, tap them on the shoulder and ask them to do so today, please. You can escort them to the desk on your way out. So thank you to the Professional Development Committee for asking me to chair this roundtable. I am a big proponent of these two gentlemen here on the podium. I think we're blessed to have amazing local custom builders in Charlottesville that we can trust to send our clients to. So my task today is to help moderate and ask questions of Chris and John so that they can better enlighten you as to what the process is and what your role in it is. So as Lisa said, John Kerber is the CEO, owner of Dominion Development, and Chris is Bramante Homes. They build all over Central Virginia, so I'm sure they'll tell you a little bit more about what they do. But if you have a client who has land and they're ready to build their dream home, they're entrusting you to help them through the process. And there may be questions that you haven't had an opportunity to ask yet. So today is the time to do that. We'll start with a list of preset questions for each builder, followed by an open Q&A session. And I'll start with you, John, because you're closest to me. What is needed to build a home on raw land before a builder is even contacted?
That's a great question. The biggest thing we like to do is get involved with the process early on because as a builder, we're just a part of helping shepherd your clients from their initial concept or vision to the home at the end of the journey. When we work with our realtor partners, sometimes, like you're saying, the client already has land, and sometimes we're actually helping them figure out what would work for their vision because they don't have the land. So we're actually helping them with site selection of possible opportunities that are out there in the market. When they come to us, they usually have a variety of different information. Sometimes they have the preliminary soils work. Sometimes they have a well already in place, but our each and every situation is unique. Each and every aspect of the lot that the client comes to us with is a different set of circumstances. So it's in order for us to get a permit, it's pretty easy. We are going to have soils work. We're going to have plans. We're going to have a well in place. But regardless of where they are in that, I would recommend you initiate discussion with the builder early on to kind of help figure out where they are.
So what would be state required to take that one step further?
As far as, well, I guess the bare minimum would be that it has to be a lot of record. And then anything else from there, we can help them figure that out. Because the correct zoning, but everything else we can help them navigate.
Great. Chris, anything you want to add to that?
That was great. I mean, I would say that in large part, I mean, we're not reinventing the wheel here. We are custom home builders. But I think additionally, like a couple of things we want our clients to think about and know about themselves as they prepare to come meet with us is, why are they deciding to build custom? More often than not, it's rooted in seeking enrichment from a home that can't be found in a home on the market, whether that's a water feature, a view feature, a floor plan feature. Because that's really important. If the land and the home are not enrichment components to the client's lifestyle, they may not be the right fit for a custom home. And then just generally an awareness of means and how they're going to fund the project. But I think those are the two questions that we want a custom home builder prospect to consider as they reach out and schedule that meeting.
Well, that's a good segue to the next question, and we can circle back to local requirements. But how does a client, in your mind, choose the right builder? What are the client's questions that you ask, and what are the questions they ask of you that help them determine, yes, Dominion or Bramante is the builder for me? And we'll start with you, Chris.
John might agree with me. We live in a small and competitive market, and I believe that the cost of construction is going to be constant. It's difficult to itemize an apples to apples scope among multiple custom home builders, but we ask you and your clients to consider that. We have to compete, and I would think that in large part, if we could scope things out apples to apples, that the price would be consistent. So with that in mind, we encourage clients to pick their custom home builders based on personality fit, comfort, and details like that.
What would you like to add, John?
Christopher's spot on. I mean, it's the relationship and the experience, because we can both deliver a very good home. Not going to speak to anybody else, but we can both deliver a very good home. But it's the experience that that we can deliver on, and it's very similar to how the client may pick you as a realtor. Everybody is going to mesh differently, but it's going to be a long-lasting relationship, because it's not just the period of time that it takes to go from initial meeting to turning over the keys and everything in between there, but it's going to be afterwards. I mean, I can't tell you how satisfying it is to be on the downtown mall and to run into folks that we built for 18 years ago. And we send Christmas cards back and forth, and like Christopher said, it's a very big small community here that we're happy to be a part of. So figuring out the relationship component is the biggest part of a custom home building journey for your clients.
So for the realtors, how do they prepare a client to meet with you? What information do you need to know at that first meeting that a realtor can help pull together for you?
Again, we try to make it very easy for our realtor friends. And, I was trying to think when I was first asked about the number of realtors that I've had the opportunity to work with over my career. And I'm sure that there's at least one or two in every one of your offices. And, I think of working with Anita very early on in Prophet Ridge and the clients that she brought to our family. And now the youngest in that is a first year at UVA, and my son's at Tennessee, and they talk daily. So it's, but sorry, let me get back to
That's
the
okay.
question. So what was the question again?
What can a realtor do with their client to help prepare for a meeting with you?
Well, it's very similar, I would assume, to what you're doing as you begin to search for a used home out on the market. You're trying to find out what key features are important to them, the recipe of the home, the square footage, number of bedrooms, proximity to town, north, south, east, west, budgets, how they're going to finance, just kind of some of those high level questions.
Christopher, anything else?
Say, I agree with John in very large part. And I think that it might feel like a difficult question for us because we see ourselves as advocates for the client throughout the pre-construction process. And we know that realtors overlap and over the years have added values in similar ways. Maybe you're used to reaching out to an OSE, on-site soils evaluator, to get that soils work, or I know everyone in here knows how long it takes to get a well drilled if you've gone through this process before. So all those value adds that you bring to the table with your clients, we want you to understand that those are things that we can help with too, as the builder and the professional, to make maybe to lighten your load and help you focus on other clients as well. We've got a process roadmap and flow chart that we share with our clients so they can see all the steps of the process. We share with our realtors as well. We don't just have a contract to build a house, but we have a pre-construction consultation agreement to help manage all of pre-construction. You can imagine, in the absence of that agreement, a builder might be volunteering in good faith towards earning a contract to build a house, but we haven't gotten to the question about pre-construction yet. In our world, that takes about 6 months, plus or minus. It can take a lot longer if the client is not motivated properly, and that's help we need from you guys. But to get back on task, there's so much that can happen during pre-construction. It's based on each client's needs. Maybe they have a lot when they come to us. Maybe they don't, and they want a realtor and their builder's guidance to help them select the right lot. So we've prescribed a pre-construction agreement that has a lot of what ifs so that we can fill that in and react to each individual client's needs specifically to them.
So we get questioned a lot about what's it going to cost to build a custom home? And I find myself sometimes thinking, I don't think John would even want to talk to this person with the budget that they have. So is that something that you feel like we should say, okay, well, John Kerber's homes are typically $1 million and up, or do you not want realtors to be limiting people in that facet?
That's a difficult question to answer because it's akin to, how much is a 3-bedroom home?
Mm-hmm.
How much is a new car? Christopher and I drove very different cars to work today, but they each had 4 doors. They each had 4 wheels, but they serve different purposes and they probably have slightly different price points. The most important thing is that the expectations of the clients are grounded in reality, both with what their budget is going to ultimately afford them, and also what their expectations of the journey is. Because I'll be quite honest with you, not everybody is a custom home client.
Christopher?
Yeah, I think that was spot on. Please repeat the question.
Yeah, very short attention span.
Right.
I love it. You guys are so focused on listening to each other that you forget the question. When we have clients call and they say, I have an $800,000
Price.
budget.
Price.
Yes.
Yeah.
So at at what point do you not want to be included in a discussion, or should there never be a point when you're not included in the, because I feel like I don't want to waste your time. If someone, I think the realistic thing was important, telling a client a lot's going to cost this and, but tell us what your expectations are for weeding out people or not.
Well, and so I'll answer that question. It's a great question because it's the biggest one on everybody's mind, not just the realtors, but the clients too. But to punt at first, and it's a saying that in keeping with what John said, how much does a basket of groceries cost? Well, it depends on what you put in the basket. And we can't answer that question until we ask a lot of questions about what the groceries are and how big the basket's got to be. So, but then again, we know that you can't make an informed decision until you have information. So our pre-construction process is set up to do one of two things. And in the end, it's really a hybrid. You can tell us everything you want, and we can tell you what that'll cost. Or you can tell us what your budget is, and we can try to tell you what'll fit into it. And it's finesse, right? Because it's size and amenity that contribute to the cost. So it's not easy, and it's an art, but somehow we're tasked to figure that out. And John's exactly right. If the budget is $1 million and it has to be 10,000 square feet and mahogany everything, it's just never going to work. And so just like that client needs to find the right personality in a builder, for us, more than ever, we're looking for the right personality in the client. And the way that, and I've had lunch or coffee with so many people in this room, and you might have heard a different answer in this regard from me in the past. But now more than ever, coming out of COVID, we understand that interest rates are high, construction costs are high, and clients are pissed off. They don't want to pay it. But we need a dose of reality, and we need to figure out if we can overcome that and if there's a good fit, because it is a collaborative spirit. You need an adventurous spirit to build a custom home. It's not multiple choice. We want to be your guides because we think we got a pretty good system set up for you.
And our job is to be straightforward and present the facts as we know it. We are actually working with a client right now. We're going to present to them next week. Their all-in budget house lot combo is going to be right around 185. When they first came to us with their realtor, and their realtor has been fantastic working with us through the process, their initial stated budget was 750,000. We told them we couldn't do it. They went away, and then they ended up coming back. So I'm sure it's not any different than what you have with a lot of folks as you're helping them look at used inventory on the market. But our job is basically to be straightforward as candid as we can.
So what I'm hearing is get the appointment and let you guys take it from there, no matter what the budget may be, as long as it's not way low, which today is what?
Yeah, qualifying clients is part of our job, and we need to talk to everybody. We'd love to field all those calls.
Okay, I think that's a great answer, because I would have been hesitant to send you a $700,000 client. So it's good to know that it's not going to waste your time for you to go down that path and have that discussion with them. So that leads us to the next question, which I think you guys have kind of answered. So I love the fact that you've got this pre-construction checklist that you're walking through with everyone, which I'm assuming outlines your needs as well as the client's needs. So do you want to speak to that, Christopher?
Yes. What we ask for from our client, and I think I've said this before, is an adventurous spirit. We have got to we've got to manifest a plan on paper from thin air and a vision, and that's difficult to articulate. So what the client needs from us is question asking, listening, collaboration, guidance. And in return, what we ask for from our clients is an understanding of our process. We have to teach it, we have to share it, and then we need to follow it unconditionally. John nailed it when he said, we have an obligation to the clients, but it's reciprocal. And if we've got to be transparent at every turn, because if we're not sharing all the details, we're just going to trip on ourselves later. So there's no incentive for a good custom home builder to be omitting any part of the information. We need to educate our clients, help them understand the process, and then guide them through it swiftly and expeditiously and on schedule and on budget. And that's how you feel so happy when you bump into them on the downtown mall.
So in follow-up to that, where do you find that clients expectations might be missed after you've gone through all that? Where do you run into issues with, oh, I thought this was going to happen, and maybe never?
Well, so expectations are, I mean, that's the hang up. If our process and our contracts are written well enough, I mean, the goal is to reduce expectations as much as possible. If every specification, plan detail answers every question, and then the client says, well, I thought I was getting something else, you know, we don't want to be in that situation where we say, well, let's go look back at the plans because it says what we were supposed to have. But really the goal is to remove expectations, and inevitably there is going to be a misalignment of expectations. Sometimes our clients think they know more about building custom homes than we do, and we're not the right builder for those people. So it's really about education, transparency, understand the process, trust the process, follow the process unconditionally. That's the best experience that any of our clients will ever have.
And I think time frame is probably, this leads us to our next question, which is where I see misalignment at times, and not because of anything the builder's done, but maybe the county or the city or whomever. So what are anticipated timeframes for design, permitting, and construction typically?
What we typically do is we kind of work backwards with our clients, because the biggest thing that we can control is from the time the bulldozer starts to the time we turn over the keys, based on what we understand the client's goals are of the house, whether it's, 8, 10, 12 months plus. So based on what they've shared with us, kind of high level, what they're looking to do, we can kind of give them that type of information. And then whether they are looking to finance or they're paying cash, we typically get the approval from our clients to apply for permit at the same time that they're applying for underwriting, to have those two things go concurrently. And there's a lot of lenders here that can kind of speak to that, the lending side, quicker than I can, but we typically set the expectation as that's going to be plus or minus 90 days. It's can be a little bit quicker, but plus or minus 90 days. And then as far as the upfront design, that is very much client driven. We have some folks that have been very pointed and moved through the process very quickly. And then we've had folks that we have literally helped design 3 different homes just to go back to the first one. So that is really driven by the clients. But I think if you set the idea that that's going to be somewhere in the 4 to 6 month time frame to go through design and pricing to get to contract, and then move on to permitting, underwriting, and then following into construction. So what we've been telling people is roughly about 1.5 years.
How about you, Chris?
Exactly what John said.
So are you running into, is the process better or worse with the county or the city than it was 6 months ago or 1 year ago? Is Neil in the room?
Next.
So the
Well,
answer is what?
Well, I think this is a good time, because you said we were going to circle back to local requirements and city and county. Best of intentions. I mean, they're both trying really hard. Blue Ridge Home Builders Association created a roundtable environment with Albemarle County. Jody Filardo and the entire team has appeared to be very energetic and enthusiastic to receive our assistance and improve their processes. They're facing the exact same challenges that you are in your everyday life, that we are in our everyday life. They have staffing turnover. They're hiring new employees that come with much less experience than the ones that they're replacing. At times, they've got multiple plan reviewers now, whereas they only had one before. They learned that their one plan reviewer was probably rubber stamping a lot of details and putting a lot of onus on their building inspector and building officials. Risk of liability for the county, even though they're always going to make that the builder's problem in the long run. So there's a lot to it. We respect what they're going through and why it's taking so long. But as much as their permit turnaround process has been and exceeded 3 months, for a time it was much better, and maybe as little as 60 days. Our last 2 permits have been held up a little bit longer. They're kind of ratcheting back up to 3 months. So we're just our roundtable initiative is helping us understand their limitations so that we can follow everything that they need. And you said steward, we say, or shepherd, we call it guides. We're guides, but we want to be able to guide our clients by being more aware and educated about the county's process and limitations. But to talk a little bit more about those local requirements, John, you mentioned zoning. Albemarle County is probably, as you're searching for land and thinking about what kind of a home you can build on that land, and Albemarle County is going to have more rules likely than any of the surrounding counties. City of Charlottesville is going to be looking at different stuff, but I kind of prepared for today within the context of Albemarle for all their rules. But you got to be aware of zoning. Albemarle County also has limits of disturbance that are more restrictive than other municipalities. We may need to bring civil engineers in or landscape architects for our clients. They're going to be critical slopes, so there are a lot of lots. You might not have enough buildable area. And who are we kidding? They're all picked over. All the flat lots sold a long time ago. So all we're building on is the steep stuff now. And I mean, more often than not, you get a lot that might have, a portion of it that is suitable for a nice home site, but you're crossing all these steep slopes and water protection ordinances to get there. And we've got to figure out how to overcome that. And so we're just aware of the engineering requirements. What are the rules? Who do we need to bring in when? And I think that's why it's hard for us to answer that question about pre-construction. We just want to get involved as early as possible so we can share our experience with the clients so that we make sure they're looking at all the most appropriate pitfalls given where they are in the process.
John?
What he said.
So I have a question. Have the rules changed in the last year, or are there moving targets?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah.
Would you like to elaborate on that?
Well, and like Christopher said, each municipality has its own set of rules. I mean, we've just done a project up in Greene County, and it's that project basically sailed through the red tape process, similar to like what Albemarle County would do 20 years ago when I could go knock on John Grady's door and see him in person. With each code change, and code changes what, every 3 years? And we adopt it about 3 years late. But with every code change, there's a new requirement. So similar to why folks probably ask you why a new home costs more than a home built 30 years ago. Well, they're paying a lot of upfront costs for a lot of these things that have been implemented, ideally to either help them out with health, safety, or lower monthly energy bills and things like that. So yeah, to answer your questions, the homes that we are building today have requirements that are just significantly different than homes built 3, 4, 15, 30 years ago.
Chris, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I agree. I think those in the most recent code cycle, building envelope, energy efficiency were big topics. Having participated on that roundtable, and I hope I'm not taking you guys off target, because I remember calling the county and asking them why they had changed their rules. And this was not related to building code issues, but just permit application and review issues. And they said, well, our process hasn't changed. Why is it taking? I didn't ask that question. So I had to think about it for a minute. I said, is it possible that the way you're enforcing your rules has changed? And they went, oh, I guess it has. And then we said, what efforts have you made to educate the public about this? Well, I guess we haven't. We were guiding some clients, as you could imagine, through the process, and we encouraged them to call the county to ask about their permit status. And I was really surprised to hear that we got thrown under the bus for not understanding the rules. And so it was really helpful. It was a breakthrough, right? You got to collaborate. This is a relationship. We can be good builders and not be successful. We're an industry, and we have to work together with our mortgage brokers, our title companies, our realtors, and the municipality. So just having that dialogue, that conversation, they said, you're right, our rules haven't changed, but the way that we enforce them does. And if we could educate the public on our website, we don't have to make the builders the heavy.
So we're in a room full of realtors and affiliates. So what are the ways that a realtor can best add value to this process? You've talked about a lot of different things, but what's the number one thing that a realtor can do to facilitate this process?
The number one thing that jumps out to me is the custom home building process is similar to a roller coaster. There's going to be a lot of emotional peaks and valleys for your clients as they go through the home building process. And the biggest value that I've received from my realtor friends has been basically helping to, thank you very much. That's a great way to put it, because you're kind of like that objective third party, if you will. But just helping remind them that, hey, we knew this was going to be a process going forward. Keep your eye on the prize and what's going to be happening. Just remember all the good stuff. Yes, it doesn't seem like anything's happened, but you don't understand what's going on behind the scenes. And so keeping them calm is probably the best way to boil it down.
Chris?
That was spot on. I was going to quote David Lupberger, and who is a builder peer of ours. I don't even know where he lives. We wrote a book. And I learned about this book at a conference for Co-Construct. I think a lot of people in this room understand who Co-Construct is, and they got started here. But Dave wrote this book, and he's got this emotional roller coaster chart, because there are certain times when you're on cloud 9. Your house is being framed and it's topping out, and you see this muddy hole in the ground become a structure, right? Well, then we go through rough-ins. It's messy and it feels like it's taken forever. And then we hang drywall and the home is just this pile of dust. Like, that's a really low point. We actually share the emotional roller coaster with our clients as part of the pre-construction process. And we hope that we never have to get it back out and remind them of it. But yes, managing that client's emotional happiness as much as possible, because 18 months is a long time. And you're going to be really excited at times, and there are going to be lows. But building on that, market value, when we present a house price and then you add it to the lot cost, I know this, with the escalation in prices lately, it's really hard to get comfortable with maybe a construction contract when it's signed. But as we look back after the people move in, and you're like, wow, it seems like a really good deal. So market value is one thing that you can really help us with as well. Also, land awareness, what lots are available, because that is not as easy as it used to be too. A year and a half ago, I was selling, you may not be able to find the home that you want, but there's plenty of land out there. So let's start the clock today. It may be 18 months, but you know that 18 months from today, you're moving into your home. Instead, you could look for another 6 months or a year and then start this process. Well, today land is scarce, and we need your help finding the right fit of land for your clients as well.
Great. We have a question from the audience. Are you still challenged with lack of skilled labor availability? John?
Unfortunately, yes. If you have kids, encourage them to get into skilled trades, because, 30 years from now, when you flush, you want it to go down. When you hit that light switch, you want the lights to come on.
Is that it? Like, John is succinct, man. How about you, Chris?
John's right. Another huge initiative, I'm sure it's on your minds too, but through the National Association of Home Builders, state and local level, workforce development committees are trying harder than ever to make a difference. Our workforce development committee is relatively new. The ones in Virginia Beach are kind of up and running and really doing a good job of bringing youngsters through the program and helping them understand the value of a technical education instead of maybe a four-year institution. So we're trying to make a difference on that end. We have been having conversations with K-Tech and every high school. We're realizing that we just need to start these conversations sooner and sooner and sooner. It's not just the kids' heads we need to get into, it's your heads, the parents. Yeah. I mean, I just sent my daughter to a four-year institution, but construction wasn't for her. We did think about it. I don't want to say that there's a lack of skilled labor as much as the demand for it exceeds what's available. And that's, I mean, from your staff to your trade partners, that's what we're dealing with right now. John, big kudos to you, man. I love the way you're celebrating your trade partners on your social media right now, because that's the secret sauce. It's a partnership. You got to take care of them in order for them to take care of you, and in turn your clients, so that you can move them in on time.
Yeah, I mean, we can sit up here and tell you how great our process is and how great our houses are, but there's a lot of people working very hard behind us that make us look good every day. Period.
Or bad.
Well, those we weed out or send to a competition, but.
One more question from the audience, and then we'll take questions from those who'd like to ask. How are the high interest rates specifically impacting your world?
That's a great question. We have been extremely blessed to work with a number of folks that are cash buyers or they're looking at bridge loans. But quite honestly, even if they're the people that are backfeeding and buying their homes are impacted by it. So what we're seeing is a lot of the budgets are staying the same, but probably similar to what you're seeing in the resale market. The budgets stay the same, but maybe what their expectations are soften a little bit. Maybe the gross square footage comes down a little bit. Maybe, maybe they don't spend $20,000 on 2 Sub-Zero refrigeration columns, but they spend that towards their KitchenAid appliance package installed.
Chris?
Great answer. But I'll take we've got one client right now looking to start a house early next year. And at each meeting, we want to talk about budget expectations, financing, and because they will be using a construction loan and then subsequently a mortgage or a one-time close, ideally. I think the lenders in the room are doing a great job of being creative to help their buyers overcome. But realtors in this room, or maybe remotely, I'm not going to drop names, but this particular realtor has done a great job of framing perspective for our client. When I asked the question a month ago, they said, well, we've just budgeted in the extra interest for the construction period, and we are hopeful that interest rates will get better along this 12-month build time. And if they don't, we understand that we're just dating our interest rate. So these are ways that you guys add great value for us, so that when we say it, we're the second person to say it.
And Christopher is right. I mean, there are lenders out there that are very creative. And when the client shares their portfolio and what their goals are, they have a lot of different ways to help them get there. So continue to leverage your lender relationships, because those folks are probably more key in a construction lending environment than maybe with your resales.
Cynthia, I saw you grab a microphone. No, don't think so. Allie's coming to the rescue. And if you do have a question, make sure you go to the microphone or have it brought to you so those on Zoom can hear your question.
Hi, I'm Cynthia. So a couple things. One, I'm curious if with the change of the actors on the Board of Supervisors or what have you, if that affects, changes and the length of time it takes to get approvals and that sort of thing. Curious about that. And the other thing I wanted to ask was, I'm sure it's part of your process because you're great at what you do, but most people have ideas, but they don't know how to come up with things on their own. So you probably guide them through that process, which is brilliant that you do that. But I'm curious if you also present them with some kind of stock floor plan, just so they get a starting point, so they can kind of get a sense of how that might work for them on some level, at least a starting point anyway. Those are my two questions.
Where's Neil?
He's not here conspicuously.
Working in his office.
Starting from that perspective of the composition of the Board of Supervisors changing, I think it's still to be determined how that will impact us. And the way that we're trying to, and we do, we try to affect the composition of our leadership. Blue Ridge Home Builders Association has a PAC as well. Our PAC is interviewing candidates. We're supporting the candidates that we think are best for our industry. And so I think and that's, I think, as much as we can do today to affect that outcome later. I love the nonpartisanship of PAC and the value that it brings. So build PAC, our PAC, please support. And then as it relates to floor plans, we do not lead with any kind of floor plan. We start with questions. If our clients bring us something, we'll react to that. But we don't want to plant a seed that's not just uniquely our clients. But throughout that conversation, as they're telling us what they want, some of their ideas, maybe their floor plan priorities, as well as their view priorities and their lifestyle, how they're going to live in that home. So if they start describing something that we've built before, then we might pull out a couple plans.
John?
Yeah, we'll do something very similar when it comes to, as we're listening to the client and going through that interrogatory process. If they bring something up that sounds familiar, then we'll reach out to some of our previous homeowners who love showing off their homes and schedule a tour. And we have built a couple of derivatives over the course of my career of homes we've built before, but usually our homes are unique one-offs, and it's based on what the Joneses are looking for, what the Smiths are looking for. So each house has its own character and stands alone. It's not another Dominion Custom Homes house as you go through the neighborhood.
And I'll take the liberty of being the moderator and ask Christopher to just give us a brief explanation as to what you mean by you like the neutrality of the pack. So what are you looking for when you are interviewing as a Blue Ridge Home Builder board member,
Well,
when you're interviewing candidates?
Yeah, I don't want to risk, combining my political views with my industry priorities. And I don't have to, for you guys to understand that they can diverge at times. And so on election day, we vote for our politics, but in the meantime, especially as we're involved in a PAC level, we're advocating for an affordable housing agenda, period.
Thank you. MK?
Thanks, guys. First, I want to say thank you both for coming here today, because it means a lot to us. And I know both of you are members and active in the Blue Ridge Home Builders. Not all builders in our area are. So I have a couple really quick questions, but I think that's an interesting point to bring up. Like when I'm going to look for the right builder for my client, I sometimes start with the website at Blue Ridge Home Builders, because I know that those builders have a higher level of professionalism. They're in the game with all the other builders. So I just think that that's important to point out. And I thank you guys for your time today. I want to mention one thing about what you were just talking about, plans, because for me, my clients sometimes come to me, especially my very high-end clients, and they say, I want a really high-end home and I want an architect. And the first thing I tell them is, do you want to spend $200,000 extra for your house that's not going to go in your house? Because architects are very expensive. And so I happen to know that you guys both do design build, but how does that play into your pricing? And then the second part of that question is, I know we're hesitant to put a limit on what your price ranges are, but is it important for the realtor to maybe email you or contact you about a average price per square foot, or a price per square foot range of what you're building right now? That can sometimes maybe help the client decide if they're a good fit for you guys.
I'll take that one first.
Go ahead.
So as far as the price per square foot, I highly encourage you to reach out to the builders that you're anticipating introducing your clients to just kind of lay the framework of what you know, what you understand, what your client's looking for, what you understand their goals are for timeline, budget, just a brain dump, if you will. With regard to framing that expectation, yes, what we typically do is say, okay, here's what we've done recently. And if something resonates, then we offer to make maybe our second meeting with you and your client, touring that project, regardless of the phase it's in, just to kind of set expectations and to give some a real life context. So we're not just talking about something on a computer screen or an 8.5 by 11 printout of a plan that they found online or something like that. With regard to the design build, basically very much like Christopher, we offer a process that takes them from the 30,000 foot ballpark budget expectation that we're able to give to kind of make sure we're all in the same zip code as far as expectations of pricing, the delivered home, et cetera. Then our next step is the professional services agreement, where we kind of shepherd them through the design. That's at the point that we introduce them to architects or designers. We don't have anybody in-house necessarily but we have, over the course of our time, similar to our relationships with AOCs and different things like that, we've have a host of draftsmen and architects that we've worked with. The architect they definitely add value, and some clients their budgets and their needs dictate that they are part of the team. Others, maybe their budgets can't afford an architect, or they are very specific and already know exactly what they want. But if the client, one of the homes we just finished, we couldn't have delivered without an architect and their team, because they have that level of creativity and are able to take that client through. And so that, even though it cost the client a little bit more dollars and cents wise, that value was very well received. And they felt that they got every nickel that they paid for that architect.
Our design build process makes an effort to play nice with third-party architects. And our design agreement is indeed separate from our pre-construction consultation agreement, or you called it you have a PSA, yeah. And we feel like, and so our design team is comprised of our staff. We have a UVA architecture grad, Joe Burke, on staff, and he's kind of our pre-construction project manager. He's not our drafts person, but he will provide high level composition and massing feedback to our drafts person, who is a member of our team, but via 1099. And so that's kind of our preferred team. But we know that from time to time, we work in subdivisions where the architectural review board does not allow our drafts person's lack of credentials to meet their requirements. So we kind of have our remote and extended team that will pull in an architect, a landscape architect, interior designers, something we also have recently added to our team. But in a world where we are the primary point of contact for design oversight, we feel like we can meet budget expectations better. And in a world where we're using a third-party architect who is a little less interested in us overseeing the client and the architect's manifestation of the design, we just can't control that as well. So we're trying to do two things. We know as a design build firm, we don't reciprocate with the third-party architects as well. And I don't know if it's as a balancing act for you too, but we want to design the home for our clients, but we also don't want to miss the opportunity to work with some fantastic architects around town. And we're always trying to balance that and add to that. The next question was, yes, what is this? How can we provide order of magnitude feedback to a client to help them get comfortable taking that meeting? Okay. And it's hard, but you know that we have to. Price per square foot is not the best and most effective tool early on, but it is a tool. So we just use a big range. And we do the same thing with total price point. And it's also a big range.
Great. We have time for one more question. Anne?
Thanks for being here. I have a question that you both touched on slightly, but I think as most of this room is composed of realtor, I think what I'd like to know is what makes, to quote you, John, a realtor fabulous throughout the process? Where can realtors add value? What do you see as the role of the realtor? And what is the best way for realtors to help their clients throughout the custom build process so that they can stay involved in the transaction?
The most successful transactions I can think of are where the realtor, the builder, the design, the decorator, and the client all work together to help the client achieve their vision, because each one of us has their strong suits. The realtor has the market knowledge, and quite honestly, you all have been in probably a lot more homes than I will ever be in. So from that perspective, and helping keep the client calm throughout the process, because that's the relationship, right? You all are the first ones in that relationship. And quite honestly, you'll probably be reselling that home at some point down the road. And hopefully we're building another one with you for them. But the relationship aspect, I think, is probably the strongest. If I had to pick one, that would probably be it, the relationship side, and leveraging that relationship throughout the single transaction.
We talked about the builder's obligation to be transparent and announce the entire process before we start anything. And we're held accountable to that. I know that the NAR news cycle has been unique this week. And I think it's really important for you representing your buyers to have conversations about how your clients want you to be involved, and a conversation about, you know, what is the threshold amount of involvement? What is the full level of service? Maybe they want something in between. Have that conversation. Talk about compensation. We are happy when we want to pay referral fees and we want to pay as much as possible, but you and your clients need to be aligned, and you need to have that tough conversation, and you need to be transparent with them just like we do. Above and beyond that, regardless of whether they choose no participation or full participation, just follow through on what you talked about. Be their guide and shepherd, be the third party home inspector that the client brings in to ensure that the structure is solid. You're the third party home inspector from the relationship perspective.
Excellent points. And I will take the liberty to expand upon a little bit about what you said with the NAR week that we've had and the lawsuit. Don't participate in speculation and negativity. We have a long way to go before this lawsuit is finalized. NAR is appealing. From what I understand, this could be a 3 to 5 year process. So we need to take the high road. I've read so many things on social media and on the hub with NAR that we shouldn't be participating in. Be the professional, be the leader, be positive, and bring value. If we bring value and discuss compensation and are not afraid to discuss what we do for the client at the initial meeting, not when you're writing the offer. If we do those things, I think Virginia leads the way. We were the first state to have a buyer agency agreement. So be proud of what you do, and don't be afraid to talk about what you do. And please, dear God, stop posting under contract in 6 hours. What value does a realtor bring to that transaction if we are bragging about the fact that we've sold a house in a day? It doesn't do any of us any good. So I would ask, if you want to talk about it, somebody asked me about NAR earlier. I serve as a director on the board of directors for NAR. I'm happy to share with you any information that I have. I have a call at 10:30 today to talk about this lawsuit and NAR's path forward. Just don't participate in the negativity, and know that NAR is fighting as hard as they can for your business, and for your professionalism. So, you know, don't participate in the negativity, please.
Can I have one quick follow-up? Before we let these guys go, how do we reach you? What's your preferred method of contact? Do you want to hear from us when we're in the midst of a land search to start giving advice?
Yes. Yes, early.
Okay. What's the best way to reach you? Cell phone, text, smoke signal, you know. You send up the bad signal, Greg, I'll come running.
Anita?
That's why RPAC is really important right now. We need money to fund this fight that we have in the courts right now. So if any of you in this room haven't contributed at least $20, please do so.
And thank you, Greg, for pulling us back to wrapping this up. I appreciate it. Chris, you want to mention how they can reach you? I think.
Yeah, through our website. If you email on our website, that hits my inbox as well as other members of our team so that we can respond as quickly as possible. You can chat with us on our website. Many of you have my email address and phone number. All
Let's
are
give these
great.
guys a big round of applause. Thank you so much. I'll turn it back over to our president, Ms. Herndon.
Shorter. Thank you, Denise, Christopher, and John. We thank you very much for everything that you've done this morning and providing us with these great tips. So let's give them another round of applause for all that great information. Now, on another topic, how many of you are ready for the holidays? Raise your hand and say yes. Let's get excited about it. Yes, stop taking a picture of me with these glasses on. At this time, I would like to welcome Charlottesville Young Professional Network, or YPN Chair, Caitlin Mancini, and longtime supporter Nate Dodson to the stage. Actually, where are they?
Is this thing on? The things you do for charity. Hello, everyone. The Charlottesville YPN is excited to launch our Salvation Army Angel Tree, where we hope to fulfill wishes for 125 local angels. This will be our 9th year supporting this important program.
While we don't have the physical angel tree tags on our Christmas tree yet, you can still sign up to support this important program. Those in the audience can use our sign-up sheet and share how many angels you wish to adopt.
When we do receive the physical angel tree tags, we will email you a copy of it. Your angel tree tag will include the angel's age, size criteria, as well as a wish list. Your tag and unwrapped gift must be dropped off at CAAR by Friday, December 1st. If you have multiple gifts for an angel, please print out a copy of the angel tree tag and secure it to each gift. Don't worry, you'll receive various reminder emails and a text message on the upcoming deadline. We appreciate the generous support of our memberships that have shown for Angel Tree program in the past, and we hope that we can count on you again this year.
Those online, please email ypn@caar.com with how many angels you wish to adopt. Feel free to share any notes with us, such as a desire to select angels that include a bicycle on their wish list. Another way the YPN is supporting the Salvation Army this holiday is through 2 bell ringing days. While the YPN Planning Committee has a dedicated bell ringing day on Friday, December 8th at Barnes & Noble on the Barracks Road Shopping Center, we have provided the same opportunity for all members to bell ring on Saturday, December 9th at the same location. Members can register for a bell ringing shift using the CAAR Education and Events calendar. And I have to say, I'm really looking forward to seeing our members' festive attire choices this year.
Me too. Let's see if they can compete against our glorious outfits. I will take this opportunity and provide a special thank you to our sponsors this year, and the members who have attended a YPN event who have donated to our GoFundMe fundraisers. If you don't know, YPN's budget is strictly reliant on sponsorships and event registration fees. So once we account for expenses of the speakers, materials for the events, and the rest of our money is divided up and donated back to our community through various nonprofits. We're excited to support the following nonprofits this year, which include Yellow Door, Fluvanna SPCA, Arc of the Piedmont, and Albemarle Housing Improvement Program, or AHIP.
And actually, we are supporting one more organization, Caitlin, the Salvation Army. So again, spread the holiday cheer this season with us and adopt an angel or register for a bell ringing shift. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, let's give them a applause. Thank you, Caitlin and Nate. Wasn't that fun? Say yes. Love the outfits, right? All righty. Next, I would like to welcome CAAR Foundation Vice Chair Greg Slater to the stage to provide us with a progress update.
Thank you, Lisa. Last time I was here, I talked about the fact that we had finished the strategic planning process. And since we are done with that, we've moved on and made a decision to be most impactful in the coming year. We need staff. We need an executive because right now we are with the support, some help from the CAAR staff. We're an all-volunteer board getting the work done. So we have hired a company to start us with that executive search, and we hope to have an executive in place maybe by as early as the end of the first quarter next year. So what are we going to do once we get going next year and in the coming years, and how can you interact with the CAAR Foundation? Earlier today, you heard about opportunities to volunteer for the CAAR board structure. We have a structure as well. Our applications for our board are complete this year. The nomination process and the deliberations are going on now. So very soon we'll have our empty seats filled on our board for 2024, but there will be future opportunities if you're interested at that level. If you are interested in the mission of this CAAR Foundation, which we'll talk about in a second, we have a committee structure that is mostly empty at this point. As we hire an executive director, we want to have a bench of volunteers that we can start to fill these committees so we can start to implement that strategic plan. So all you have to do, I don't see it there. It's simple. Oh, that's in the big yellow bubble. Email foundation@caar.com. If you want to have a conversation with one of our board members about what, or me or anybody else about what we're going to try to do with some of these committees in the near term, give us a call. A lot of what we're going to do is going to be in the overarching affordable housing space, right? It encompasses a lot of things. So if you've ever not known how to engage with it and be impactful and you want somewhere to start, I think this foundation and doing some of this committee work will be a great place to get involved. Some of our goals in the near term, we have to do relationship building in the community. Many of you are volunteers in other organizations that may at some point be a benefactor of our work, whether it's volunteerism or financial. So by serving on committees or bringing connections that you have in these organizations, we're interested in all those things because we're trying to get out there and let everyone in this community know we're here. We have a big membership that wants to be supportive of all these initiatives in this nonprofit space. And we need to build those relationships so we can figure out how to best engage. We're going to be working on educating our membership as well. Affordable housing has a lot of components to it that we all need to be up to speed on. And in some time in the future, we hope to be a resource for the general public when it's time to come figure out how they interact with Piedmont Housing Alliance or Habitat for Humanity, or maybe just don't even know where to go. We're in the home ownership business and we want to be a resource to be causing conversations in the community. And ultimately, we want a seat at the table in the bigger conversation. We're brokers. We help find synergy among parties to get more things done more effectively. And we want to play that same role in the greater conversation about affordable housing. So we need your volunteerism, but we're also going to need your financial support, particularly since we're about to hire an executive director. This board created this foundation and we hope we'll find support outside of the organization financially as well, but we're ready for our membership to think about directing their philanthropic dollars in our direction as well. So if you have any questions, please find a board member. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. That was a great update. And I hope that you all will keep the CAAR Foundation in mind when it comes to Giving Tuesday. Most people are familiar with Giving Tuesday. It's the Tuesday following Thanksgiving. So Giving Tuesday kicks off the charitable season. So remember that. Greg would greatly appreciate your support, and we want to back the foundation that we helped to create. So remember that. And there it is, foundation@caar.com. If you want to contribute, and feel free to email or call Greg directly. You can text him, you can email him, send smoke signals. He'll gladly talk to you about the foundation and even more so take your funding. All righty. In addition to all we have discussed today, Denise kind of went off topic and talked about some things that I had decided to talk about, although it wasn't in our script. We all know that our industry is very vulnerable at this moment, and there are going to be some changes within our industry. And the verdict that came down saying that we were guilty, as she said, the fight is not over. I had a meeting yesterday with the president of NAR. It was a bunch of us on the call, and they are truly committed and pulling out all the stops how we can get through this. So don't lose faith. There's not going to be any major change anytime soon. So it is going to take some time. They are going to appeal, and we're still in the fight. We're still in the fight. So in addition to what we've talked about this morning, I want to congratulate, I don't know if she's in the room, Catherine Richardson for Richmond, excuse me, and I have talked to her. Catherine Richmond for achieving her Graduate Realtor Institute, GRI. Hey, I just wanted to acknowledge you. She wants to give me a hug. I just met her, what was it, during the new orientation. She is one of the sweetest people that I have met. And she also came from Montague Miller, where I started. But she's just a very sweet person. So did everybody give her a round of applause? Okay, thank you. She kind of took me off task when she came up here to give me a hug. So. All right, to conclude this morning's meeting, have you all had fun? Yes. Where's the excitement? Yes, I see some excitement back there. I see you. All right, I want to welcome the following new realtors as members. Y'all supposed to say yay. In addition, I would like to welcome the following new affiliate members. Yay. We love our affiliates. Guess what's next? We are going to adjourn this meeting. Thank you so much for attending. Okay, the meeting, well, it says to adjourn. We're going to adjourn later today. We still have the voting going on. We're done. Yeah. The winning for the voters should be in by 5 today.